Welcome to Narrated Headlines. I'm Atlas.
And I'm Aurora. Today we're going deep on the stories dominating the news cycle, starting with the Strait of Hormuz, the nerve center of global oil traffic. Look at this CNN map. Traffic through the strait is adapting to what they're calling a new normal of war. Tankers are changing routes, insurance costs are spiking, and the risk of escalation is constant. It's not just lines on a map. Every ship that delays or diverts means higher prices at the pump for ordinary people, and yet the administration seems almost eager to lean into the confrontation.
Iran just resumed loading oil tankers at Karg Island for the first time in weeks. That's a signal. They're testing how far they can push under the current naval pressure. There's also that grounded tanker off Oman leaking sanctioned Russian crude into a protected marine area. 1 million barrels potentially at risk. Slick already covering 2,000 square kilometers. Environmental disaster layered on top of geopolitics.
And oil prices responded immediately, up more than $1 a barrel after fresh tanker attacks and stalled talks. Brent settled around 88.50, WTI at 82.40. Markets hate uncertainty more than anything. Exactly. And while that's unfolding, President Trump is telling Americans to accept slightly higher gasoline prices as the cost of stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. He even floated declaring the Strait of Hormuz U.S. territory. The White House later said he was joking about the territory claim, but the message was clear: pressure is the strategy. Iran has already pushed back hard on that rhetoric, and the Treasury is preparing unprecedented economic measures. This is not a quiet containment policy. This is maximum pressure, version 2.0.
Now, the human cost of that pressure is showing up on the USS Abraham Lincoln. The carrier has been deployed more than 260 days, supporting operations in the Middle East. Families are raising alarms about conditions and mental health. Trump's response? He dismissed the concerns, said the deployment was not nearly long enough. Multiple outlets reported the same line. That's a remarkable statement when sailors are reaching the breaking point. A new carrier is already on the way to relieve the Lincoln. The Navy is acknowledging the strain, even if the commander in chief is not. One report mentioned a sailor jumping from the ship. These are not abstract statistics. You can feel the tension in the coverage. The Lincoln story has become a symbol of the wider unease about how long this confrontation with Iran can be sustained without serious cost to the force itself.
Meanwhile, the president is reshaping the Navy in other ways. He ordered a return to 1950s style steam catapults on carriers, calling the electromagnetic systems too complex. And the Navy is studying major redesigns of new carriers to match his preferred aesthetic. Aesthetic redesigns while sailors are struggling through record deployments feels tone deaf. There's also the order authorizing private companies to conduct government sponsored cyber attacks against foreign hacking groups. That used to be the exclusive domain of national security agencies. Some will argue it expands the toolkit, others will say it blurs lines that existed for good reason. Either way, the pattern is clear: more aggressive tools, less patience for institutional caution.
Let's shift to East Asia for a moment. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung used National Liberation Day to call for renewed dialogue with North Korea. He wants to replace the 1953 armistice with a formal peace regime. Pyongyang is deepening ties with Russia and calling its nuclear status irreversible. Talks sound good, but the conditions for meaningful progress look worse than they have in years. Still, the fact that Seoul is publicly pushing for dialogue matters. It keeps the diplomatic track alive even when the security environment is deteriorating.
A few other stories that deserve attention. Colombia's new president is asking Washington for U.S. military assistance against drug traffickers. That's a significant request given the history of American involvement in the region. The Army temporarily grounded all Apache helicopter flights after a fatal crash near Fort Hood. Safety stand downs like that are never taken lightly. Post Maduro Venezuela is demanding its $4 billion in gold back from the Bank of England. That fight has been going on for years and just took on new political color. Reddit is joining the S&P 500, a reminder that even the internet's chaos factory can become institutional capital. Tesla is seeking permits for robo-taxis in Las Vegas. Self-driving fleets keep inching closer to commercial reality. And on a more speculative note, one piece asked whether we'd be better off populating Mars with 1 million robots rather than people. The practical case for machines first is getting harder to dismiss. There was also reporting that hundreds of billions in Biden era clean energy funding managed to escape the current administration's cuts. Policy continuity is rarely as clean as the headlines suggest. And a U.S. attorney publicly condemned the arrest of an Iranian national over vandalism at a World War II memorial. Small story, but it touches nerves about free speech, foreign influence, and selective enforcement.
Pulling it together, the dominant thread this cycle is pressure on Iran, on the Navy, on allies, on markets. The question is how long the system can absorb that pressure before something breaks, or before the human costs force a recalibration. Carriers don't sail forever, families don't stay quiet forever, and oil doesn't stay below 90 when the Strait stays this tense. We'll keep watching every one of these stories. For narrated headlines, I'm Atlas, and I'm Aurora. Thanks for listening.